right, everybody, let's talk about the battle between the province, the provincial government, and the doctors. I want to know whose side you're on, by the way, at 514-790-0800. You can send me a text or you can call in. Let me read you two text messages just sent in at the same time, opposite ends of the spectrum. Elias, I'm on the doctor's side. We 100% need them. We should treat them with respect. That's from Monica. Bill says this: I don't normally agree with Legault, but I do on this one. While the agreement with doctors isn't perfect, the government can only do so much. If the deal ends up being bad, then the CAC will pay for it. But let's not kid ourselves. No other party's offering a better solution that satisfies doctors as well as taxpayers. That's from Bill. Let's go to Dr. Laura Sang on this one to start us off here. Family doctor in the Lower Laurentians. Dr. Sang, welcome back to the program.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm sure you've heard the Premier by now in that 3-minute speech he posted to social media yesterday. You know, he says things that sound reasonable. Hey, we want to tie 15% to performance. We want doctors available on more nights and weekends. Sounds reasonable to me, but I'm sure I'm not getting the whole picture here. Tell me your perspective.
So my perspective is that we do not have the resources that we need to do our jobs effectively. We are short 2,000 family doctors in this province. In the Laurentians, where I work, we're missing 800 nurses. We're missing the people that we need to support us to do our job. We're already doing as much as we can, working evenings, weekends, for the patients that we care for. I don't think it would be possible to do more without adding more people and resources to the system. I'd like to make the analogy with pilots that, you know, they have certain restrictions for the number of hours they can fly before it becomes a safety concern. The same thing holds true for doctors. Similarly, if you think about building a bridge, there are only so many, materials that you can cut before the structural integrity of the bridge is compromised and it can no longer function. The same thing can be said for us.
Are you okay with any part of your pay being tied to performance, seeing more patients? It is true that they do it in other provinces, now to different degrees. 15% of pay to performances. Are you just opposed to that idea in general, or do you think that's something that can be played with in negotiation?
I think it is definitely something that can be played with. I think where the challenge comes in is one, how do you measure performance? How come we're penalized if there's not enough nurses or other people to effectively run our clinics and see patients? And I think the flip side is the collective penalty, that if one person in your group of physicians is unable to meet the quota that they're hoping for, that everybody is penalized. I think that's where the issue therein lies, and that the targets for performance are unmeetable without adding the resources that we need to meet them. So it's almost like a guaranteed pay cut. It's almost like we're guaranteed to fail.
Now, let me ask you, if there's no deal made, government tables its special bill tomorrow morning, what do you think happens then? How do you think that plays out if the government goes with legislation?
I think that overnight, possibly hundreds of physicians will announce that they are leaving the province to go work elsewhere.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That would be devastating.
Concerned. I know, and it would just exacerbate the problem even more. But it's terrifying, and it's not a question of money. It's a question of working conditions. It's a question of being able to survive and function and work and help the population like we want to.
Dr. Sang, would you be one of those doctors looking to greener pastures?
I haven't explored anything as of yet, but anything is possible. I have not committed to anything.
Dr. Sang, thanks for hopping on with us this morning. Really do appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
That's Dr. Laura Sang, family doctor in the Laurentians.
Mais les médecins ont la responsabilité collective de prendre en charge les Québécois, en particulier les plus vulnérables. Ils ont la responsabilité d'être disponibles le soir, les fins de semaine. Ce qu'on leur propose, c'est que 15% de leur salaire soit conditionnel à l'atteinte d'objectifs. C'est très raisonnable, c'est même normal. Ce qu'on propose, c'est de changer leur mode de rémunération. D'autres provinces l'ont déjà fait depuis longtemps. Pourquoi ça ne serait pas possible de le faire au Québec?
Where Montreal calls in and speaks out. The Elias Macco Show. CJAD 800.
So there's a part of the Premier's video posted last night to social media. When you hear him say it, well, it sounds reasonable, right? More doctors working more nights and weekends. They do it in other provinces, tying pay to performance. They do it elsewhere. Why not in Quebec? Well, is it reasonable or not? So 514-790-0800. Would love to know if you're on the side of the doctors or the government in this one. Let's now go to Dr. Paul Saba, a Montreal family physician on the line. Dr. Saba, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you so much for asking me to welcome me back to your show. Thank you.
So let me ask you this way. You know, the Premier, the way he puts is like, well, everything we're asking is so reasonable. Of course, we're not seeing all the perspectives here. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, the doctors do work very hard. We also have to remember that, there are, I'd say at least half of our physicians now are women. So they have family responsibilities. They go on pregnancy leave. Are we going to stop them? Are we going to start targeting women who are pregnant, who are on pregnancy leave? The other thing is that doctors don't just work in the office. They often cover emergency rooms. They cover, long-term care, ICUs, and they also do hospitalization as well as office practice. So how are we going to deal with these doctors who are working weekends and at nights? Like I'm covering this week, I'm on call for the long term at night and on weekends. So I do that one week a month. Plus, I run a very busy office practice. So I don't think it's because the doctors aren't working. I think it's because we have a lack of family doctors. As my op-ed article in the La Presse last week, I outlined how we could fix that. And that's where we need to be doing, is looking how to fix the shortage of family doctors. And while we have family doctors who are out working, we can get them if each doctor took an additional, who's actually in practice, one patient a week. That's 50 patients a year, which is not unreasonable, and you give them some incentives to take an extra patient a week. We could solve the problem in about a little over 3 years for the shortage of...
You call it incentives. Is that, tying a certain percentage of pay to performance? Could you get on board with that?
Well, I would say incentives would be just like, say, okay, normally we give you this amount of money for taking on a new patient, but we will double it, for example. People will buy into that. Everyone can find a little extra time in their busy schedule, rather than trying to change all the remuneration. We should maybe do that to our government, have them tied into performance, all the things that they're doing and not doing. Let's see how they do. Performance, they've had these criteria for it in the hospitals, waiting times, et cetera, and it hasn't made a big difference. It's what we do. What we have is we have a lack of doctors, and we can fix it. And also in the long term, we need to double up the number of doctors who are admitted into our faculties who are going to be family doctors, and we need to very much target it for people who say, I want to be a family doctor, and commit them. If you're admitted to the Faculty of Medicine and you say you're going to be a family doctor, well, you have to do it for let's say 5 years. You commit them, and another thing would be to doctors who are going to retire. And this is going to do is for doctors who are thinking of retiring and the government's playing hardball. It's going to cause them to retire sooner. So what we need to do is give incentives.
Dr. Saba, I just want to get to that. So if the government goes through and tables this special legislation,
you
think doctors head to the exits, primarily those who are close to retirement?
Yeah, I've been at that age, but I'm not going to retire anytime soon because I'm committed to. I don't care what the government does. If they say we're going to cut your salary by half, I'm still going to work. But I'm going to tell you that most doctors, if you start playing around with their salaries or start changing their mode of remuneration, they're just going to say, you know what, I've got enough in my retirement plan, I'm gone. We don't want to do that. We want to encourage people. We need to work together. Hardball tactics never work. We see what happened with Air Canada. We see what happened. I'm not taking the side of anybody's. The postal workers. you're always better to negotiate, come up with a solution, and not threaten.
And this is the thing. You bring up a couple of great examples on the federal side, and I think what we're seeing here is the Quebec government going down the path of tactics we've already seen from the federal government with some high-profile work impasses. Dr. Saba, I got to leave it there. You're great. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. Paul Saba, a family physician. We have one update here coming from the Doctors Union, the FMOQ. They say they're gonna relent on one pressure tactic. Okay. On the students, right, and the hang-up, a whole bunch of students weren't going to be able to graduate on time because of pressure tactics and withholding teaching services. They're going back on that, okay? So they're going to continue. They're going to let those students graduate on time. Interesting, the press release announcing that move, they don't say they're responding to the provincial government and their demand. They say they're heeding the call of Pablo Rodriguez, leader of the Quebec Liberal Party, to stop that teaching boycott.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.